You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the January 11th, 2023 meeting of the LaPorte County Sheriff's Merit Commission. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the January 11th, 2023 meeting of the LaPorte County Sheriff's Department. I'd like to wish everyone a happy new year. This is our first of the year, so we do have a couple of preliminary events to take care of, but starting off with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Major, if you would.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First order of business, since this is our first meeting of the new year, would be an election of officers for the Merit Board. We'll start out with President. Do I have a motion or a nomination? I'm sorry.
I'll nominate Mr. Kimmel for president.
I have a nomination. Do I have any other nominations?
Sorry.
May I have a motion to close nominations?
So moved.
Motion to have a second?
Second.
Motion and seconded to close. All in favor of Mr. Kimmel staying or retaining on as president, say aye.
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 Opposed, same. Have a nomination for vice president.
I'm nominating Lori. Sorry. My nomination is our own Vice President, Lori.
Okay. Nomination for Laura Francisconi for vice president. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, nominations are closed. Have a motion to accept Laura Francisconi as vice president.
So moved.
Have a motion to have a second.
Second.
All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. The nominations for secretary.
I nominate Louise Mock for secretary.
Have Louise Mock nominated. Are there any other nominations for secretary? Hearing none, to have a nomination, our motion to accept.
So moved.
Okay, a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Thank you very much. Well, Sheriff, you got to put up with the five of us again, so.
It's not such a bad thing.
Well, welcome. This is obviously your first of many Merit Board meetings as the new sheriff. Congratulations on that. And
Thank you.
again, the clock is starting to see if you're going to retain your history of staying within 10 or 12 minutes of the time frame, or if that's something that now that you've graduated to sheriff that you'll expand that time. So good luck to you, and
I'll do my best. I'm not going to make any promises this morning, that's for sure.
thank you.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and get started off this morning. I was approached by County Trojanowski. We do have a promotional approval request for this morning. It says, whereas applicant Jeffrey Lineski, a member of the department eligible for promotion to the rank of probationary patrolman, except as noted in waiver request form G, if any, attached, has been found to have made the highest grade in written examination, years of service grade, and service rating grade total, as per reported by the LaPorte County Sheriff's Department eligibility list, published by the Sheriff's Merit Board. In my opinion, appears to have all the necessary attributes to properly discharge his duties in the rank sought. I hereby respectfully request the approval of the board for his promotion in that rank. If you would, I'll bring him up for your signature vote.
Hearing that, do I have a motion to? Hearing that, do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Thank you. Motion passed.
Great, thank you. Move to the next item on our agenda, and that our calls for service between November and December decreased, and some of them were some drastic decreases, as you can see through on your agenda there. Our total calls for service only decreased 3%. from 1,965 calls in November to 1,904. But some of the significant decreases that we saw were crash reports, citations, car deer crashes, and disabled vehicles. As you can see, the crashes decreased 17%, citations decreased 13%, car deer crashes decreased 53%, disabled vehicles decreased 31%. That's not shocking or surprise to us. This time of year, we always see a decrease in the calls for service and these type of calls. So I'm not concerned about it or anything like that. Days and afternoons both saw a decrease in their call volume, 10% and 20% respectively. But what's interesting is that midnights saw an increase in their calls for service between the 2 months. And that's kind of surprising because usually in the winter months, midnights becomes very slow. So that it's not a huge increase, but it is a slight increase. On to the next topic. This was actually tabled at last month's meeting, and that's our pension restatement because we wanted to give the board an opportunity to review the document because it was quite lengthy. So it was tabled from our December meeting so that you guys could have a chance to review. We would ask that you guys take a vote on this to approve it. We are on the January agenda for the county councils for their approval. And as you know, anything regarding our pension needs to be approved by the merit board, the county council, and the sheriff.
Okay. Hearing that, may I have a motion to take this off the table and put it up for discussion? Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. As the sheriff mentioned, this was tabled from the December meeting. I believe a copy of this was given to all the merit board members. It was rather lengthy, but we wanted to make sure everyone had an opportunity to review it before voting on it to put it in place. Are there any questions or comments that needed to be asked before we vote? Hearing none, to have a motion to accept the restatement of policy.
So moved.
Have a motion, to have a second.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Disbrow and Deputy Sanchez continue with their FTO, and it is being reported that they are doing quite well. We're extremely pleased with their progress. They're moving along. I don't believe there's any major hiccups or issues with either of them, and our hope is to have them done with their FTO probably the 1st of March sometime. So they'll be here shortly when they can get on their own. Deputies Velasquez and Buford are now in their 10th week of training at the South Bend Regional Training Academy. They report that they are doing quite well and learning a lot. Last week they began their firearms training, and they are doing well with that, and they're expected to graduate in the end of February, so that time is going to be fast approaching as well too. New Deputy Jeff Lineski, who you guys just approved the paperwork this morning, started his employment with our office. His first day was this past Monday, the 9th, and he has begun the FTO program. He's expected to go through an abbreviated FTO program due to his length of service and his experience at the Michigan City Police Department. As you know, last month we began a new hiring process. We're pleased with that because we received about 25 applications. That's up from our previous application process that we only received 4 applicants. So we're pleased with that. We had 15 show up for the physical agility and written testing that was held on December 15th. 7 moved on to the background phase. As you know, you'll be interviewing one person later this morning, and we hope to have the others for you to interview within the next few weeks. As a reminder, we're down 5 officers that we're going to need to hire within the next couple of months. So we're trying to move this process as fast as possible, so we can get these individuals either in FTO if they're academy certified or get them registered in the next academy class.
Sheriff, is there a date when the Bureau is due to have those investigative?
I believe it's the 15th, Friday the 5th. This Friday? Yep, this coming Friday they're due.
They're actually almost all done, I think.
Yeah. The 13th will be Friday the 13th that they're due to be done. So I know I've come to you guys with sometimes with some short notice to hold interviews, but again, we're trying to just to keep the process moving as long and as fast as possible. And we appreciate you guys' patience and understanding why we try to get through this as quickly as possible.
We'll try to come up with a date after our meeting and get that to you so that we can
Absolutely.
give everybody on the merit board an opportunity to review those background checks and then get some interviews set up.
Right. Great. Thank you.
You say there was how many of them that went to the Bureau for background?
7. You're going to interview 1 today, so I believe that leaves 6. Now, I don't know the status of the backgrounds, if any are going to get cut or washed out with the background. So, yeah, we're hoping maybe 6 more.
Okay.
So I think. Longtime LaPorte County Sheriff's Office canine supporter Bill Lutz passed away at the end of last year. His wishes were for all memorial donations to be made out to the Sheriff's Office Canine Fund. Since then, we have received several donations on the behalf of Mr. Lutz, and they have been deposited into our canine account, which is held by the auditor. Mr. Lutz was a Vietnam veteran, and he was a canine handler while in Vietnam, and some of his stories that he would tell us were quite interesting. He would come in once a year to bring treats for the dogs along with a monetary donation, so his presence is definitely going to be missed. As a reminder, our department's award and holiday party will take place on Saturday, January 21st at Heston Hills. The doors open at 5 p.m. with dinner at 6 p.m. Please RSVP if you plan on attending. I wanted to highlight some of the Christmas snow events between December 22nd and December 24th. LaPorte County received a blizzard that was described as rare by the National Weather Service. They said this type of event occurs only once every 5 to 10 years. They said it wasn't quite to the magnitude of the 78 blizzard, but again, it was described as rare. But our deputies answered 173 calls for service, which included 2 personal injury crashes, 22 property damage crashes, and 72 slide-offs. We feel that this could have been much worse, but appreciate the public who appeared to take the warnings and caution to stay home. On a side note, and I'm very proud of this, when I heard this, I was absolutely just shocked. It was learned that we had 3 jail employees who got a hotel room here in LaPorte to ensure that they would be able to make it to work the next day. That just shows you the dedication and the commitment of our employees here at the Sheriff's Office. And not only did they do it for 1 night, they did it for 2 nights during the 2-day event. So that just absolutely speaks volumes. And when I heard that, I just could not believe that. That's great. On Christmas Day, we received a call that a pipe had burst on the 5th floor of the complex and that water was leaking into the Sheriff's Office administrative area. Several offices received damage, with Captain Allen's office being the hardest hit. Building maintenance and ServPro were on scene immediately and began remediating the water. Thankfully, we were not as affected or as bad as the other offices within the complex. As we know, the prosecutor's office, the health department, and EMS, they've all been vacated up out of the floors above us, and they've been patched here and there in different areas in the county, whether it's the new Michigan City Courthouse or back at the 8th and Wabash Street offices, or I believe EMS was moved down to the old Superior Court 3 downstairs for space. We didn't have any significant displacements with us, although we did receive damage. I think some of you guys have been through to see some of the damage, but building maintenance and ServPro and the commissioners have been wonderful to work with, and I've got no complaint at this time. They're still trying to get some of the humidity and moisture levels within the Sheriff's Office area down to a respectful level. It's still pretty humid over there with their test results that they say. So I believe Major Cicero is going to come up and talk about the promotional process.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Here.
We had a discussion this morning, as you know, concerning our upcoming promotional process for the ranks of sergeant, captain, and major. So we are going to change some things in regards to how we've normally been doing the promotional process with bringing in an individual and doing the school and whatnot. I asked the sheriff and the chief to help me with this because we are having some issues in trying to find someone. And of course, we're thinking of the bottom line as well because it's been very expensive. They went to the sheriff's school and brought back some information about an organization called TPS LLC, Testing for Public Safety, an organization out of Indianapolis that does this, and it's more of a textbook type of testing organization where it's upon the it takes it upon the actual officer to review certain literature that of our choosing and our policies and procedures to review which manuals that we will provide to them as well, certain chapters within our lexipol, and we will provide that to TPS, and they will generate a 80 question test based upon our rules and regulations, true and false, multiple choice, using the textbooks that we ask them to choose questions out of, as well as our lexipol, and administer the test sometime in November. I shared this with in speaking with this organization, I did share this information with the sheriff and chief, and we are on board, at least as of now. Of course, we have to bring this to you for a vote. And looking at our rules and regulations for promotional procedure, it seems as though we are within the regulations and consistent with what this organization can provide for us.
Any questions? Laura, do you have anything? Jim? No? Okay. Just to clarify a couple things for the sake of clarification, I guess, for lack of anything else. On the cost on this, I know in the past we were discussing this morning, and I want to say that last year it was someplace in the neighborhood of $7,000 or $8,000. It could have been a little bit higher. I don't know. That was with an in-person instructor coming in. I think it was 3 or 4 different days to do that. This with the TPS company, I believe it's a flat $3,500 plus the cost of the books.
Yes.
And of course, the books, the outstanding expense on the books will just be for this year, as we'll be able to retain those books for future. And then the TPS company will basically redo questions using the same booklet, but assuming we stay with the same categories, they'll just reformulate the questions so that the questions are not repetitive from one year to the next.
That's correct. What we plan on doing is choosing specific areas. We're contemplating constitutional law at this time, supervision and leadership. Again, we're just contemplating that right now, and of course our lexipol. So it'll be technically 4 areas. If we purchase constitutional law, leadership, and supervision, we will purchase the books. We will hold on to these books, issue the books to the people who want to be going through the promotional process. It'll be up to the officers to review the books, study, and then, of course, in November, they will take the test. They'll give us the books back. If the books are still valid and relevant as we go through the continuous cycle of promotions, we'll reissue the books. If they're not relevant, and through TPS, we need to update, we will buy those books again, or we'll buy whatever books that need to be bought. But overall, we believe that this is going to be a cost savings to us, as well as a time saving to the officers, because over the years, the officers have had to schedule their vacation or time off or whatever events in their life around promotional schools and the test. This is now just going to be scheduled around a test, which is just going to be one day. Everyone will take the test at the same time.
Okay. I would like to go on record and thank Sheriff Heeg and Chief Deputy Ott for doing the legwork down at the sheriff's school earlier this year and coming back and giving this information to the major, who's really kind of put forth a lot of effort. But thanks to you two for searching out this company. I think several people were looking. I even made a couple phone calls out to the Correctional Training Institute out in Colorado, and they have a team that does that with the expense starting at 25,000 plus flights per diem and so on. So you know, it shouldn't come to a matter of expenses, which I'm sure it doesn't. You know, the main purpose is to make sure that everyone has a great opportunity to promote. But I think this is going to be a great tool for us to use in the future. We'll see how it goes this year. And obviously, if it works out, then in the next 2 years, or the 2 years from now, we will not have the expense of the books, so it'll just be the expense of having TPS come in to administer the test. The one thing that we are going to attempt to do at next month's meeting, the major's going to come in and give the date for the actual test. That will be in November. And then the one thing that we've already talked about, I say we, the merit board, we've had issues in the past with staff scheduling vacations, and we understand that. But you know, I guess there's also an opportunity here for them to make the decision how important that promotional is to them. So, but it's our duty and responsibility to work with everyone. So what we're gonna look at doing is the oral interviews with the merit board for promotion. We're going to do those again ahead of time prior to the test. Those will be in October. We will have those dates set and given to you at next month's meeting. But what we're going to do is we're going to hold, last year we held 3 days of interviews, which we're anticipating pretty close to the same, if not more, deputies choosing to go for promotion. So what we're going to do is we'll have 2 interview dates during 1 week, and then we'll set a date the following week for additional interviews. So hopefully that will give everyone the latitude to go ahead and go on their vacations with their families, you know, relax, have a good time, and then come back and either know that they've had the interview done or they're going to be taking the interview ahead of time. But again, we just felt that would be a way to do it so that we don't cause undue stress on someone's having to make a choice between going for promotion or going on vacation with their family. So we hope that'll work, but we'll have those dates set next month along with the major having the date for the test. So are there any other questions or comments from the board? Major, thank you very much.
Thank you, Major. I'd like to back up here a little bit, and when we were talking about the interview process for the remaining applicants after the backgrounds are due, and you talked about putting a date together. I know we host our internal interview board first, and I, as the chief, I was the de facto chair of that interview panel. So I'm going to ask that you confer with Chief Ott, who now becomes the de facto chair of that interview panel. I know when I was the chief, we would host the interviews in the morning and you guys would in the afternoon. So maybe afterwards we can get with Chief Ott and you guys can come up with a date together if that's how you still want to do it, or if you want to hold them on two separate dates.
No, whatever we can do that, you know, accommodates the applicants, so that especially if they're out of the area, so that they're not having to take, even if they're from the area, so they don't have to take 2 days off.
2 days off,
travel.
right.
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
And the interview that you guys will be doing this morning, as a reminder, will be held out at the range due to the damage in the flooding damage that we have. So at this time, we have no emails or letters of commendation. Next month's meeting will be Wednesday, February 8th at 9 a.m. And attached, you'll find the Warrants Division, Detective Bureau, and Jail Monthly reports. And that's all I have this morning.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the floor? Any comments from the floor? Hearing none, comments from the floor is closed. Mr. Miller? Mrs. Francisconi?
No comment.
Mrs. Mock? Mr. Schooley?
Just want to briefly, I want to thank the Bureau and the people that have been doing the background investigations for the merit board. They've been pretty complete, haven't left much in the way of questions for me or anybody else that on the board. So thank you for the efforts.
Yeah, I'd like to echo that too, Jim. It's a good point. I really don't have much other than just to hope and pray that we have a very successful 2023. Everyone remains safe. Sheriff, good luck to you in your new tenure, and Chief Deputy out. We're kind of counting on you to make sure you keep him in tow a little bit, and so he doesn't, venture off too far. So it's going to be a great year. Looking forward to it, and I cannot thank the Major enough for the efforts he's put into this promotional process. We kind of got a curveball thrown at us with the gentleman that gave the school 2 years, the last one 2 years ago. We were really under the impression he was going to be coming back to continue this, but due to some issues that he's having, he had to unfortunately back out of that kind of verbal commitment that he gave us. But yet it's amazing again when you see how this department kind of rallies around, and with the sheriff and the chief going down to Indianapolis and finding a possible solution for us that may work better than what the other one did. So again, thanks everybody for making that process, and I hope everyone can enjoy the fruits of the labor from that when they get ready to go for their promotions later on this year. So with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Have a motion to have a second.
Second.
All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Meeting adjourned at 9:28. Getting a little lengthy there, Sheriff.